This is Rhythm Phoenix continuing with the Appendix 39 of the book The Hamlet's Mill and the on the subject of Nibiru. I've always believed, um, well, around 2007, 6 and 7, I did actually have a little bit belief in Nibiru being a physical big ass red dwarf planet entering our solar system in its 3,600 year orbit. Whether it gets, how close it gets to cause calamities or how far away it must be to cause the calamities, I'm not sure. But for one thing, the one thing for sure is this. It seems to me that it wasn't until Zechariah Sitchin came out with this 10th planet situation or theory that people started portraying the different particular bodies in the Bible to be Nibiru, i.e., wormwood. But people, if you are on a low consciousness level, you might believe that. I believe that, especially when we watch the movies today, the information that they put into the movies. You see, just like they put into movies during times of war, they put out patriots. Let me give you an example. Not to say that this happened, but I'll give you an example. Say we are about to go to war with a particular country. Or we'll say this, we are about to go invade somebody else's land and start dropping bombs on them because of something, some particular reason, USA to the rescue. Well, before this and during this, they're going to release movies in the media, in the mainstream American USA media that pertain to, um, war, whether that be your son going to war, a mother going to fight, a movie like Captain America being released, you know what I'm saying? Things like that to help build a subliminal messaging system to be dug into your subconsciousness to give you at least a little bit of patriotism and backing the soldiers in wars that are created by old ass rulers of the world and fought by young men of America or of the United States, so called, who have families and businesses and or out to support their family and they die for such reasons. But, you know, it's a lot of mind control going on, a lot of shit going on. So this whole Nibiru thing must have been a mind control situation. You might not say that because it's not, nobody, you know, says it really. Well, I'm saying it. I'm saying that the whole Zechariah Sitchin thing and anything based around Zechariah Sitchin, Nibiru, the Anunnaki, and things like that is all based off of mythology, and it can be traced throughout all world, many world cultures throughout the world. You know what I'm saying? Without the two cultures or one culture and another culture meeting each other. You see what I mean? Because we're dealing with some heavy spiritual science that even scientists cannot touch upon. Okay, so continuing on the bottom of page 4. Let me see here. Where was I at? Uh, let's see. Station zone. I was on. Um, we'll start here. Okay. Um, I had basically finished page 434, and on the opposite page it shows you different constellations. Um, this figure, it's not named. It's the top one. It shows the information under the constellations says this: the Pegasus square called El Iku, i.e., the standard field measure of the Sumerians, with the circumjacent constellations as reconstructed out of Mesopotamian astronomical texts. The fishes, then, must have had a larger extension than in our sphere. Okay, bottom one shows this. Uh, Sumerian or ancient Babylonian constellations. Um, so the same Babylonian constellation, according to Ungnad, who took El Iku for the paradise. Okay, he took this squared out position to be the paradise. Now, is this in reference to what we would call the Garden of Eden in the Bible? The position of Ungnad's sketches is inverted with respect to the usual order of star maps. He continues on the next page. It says the same square correctly placed between the Pisces, right, or the Pisces fish, the constellation, as figured in the round and the rectangular zodiacs of Dendura during the Roman Egyptian times. Here's another one. It shows Pisces with the square in the middle again, um, what they call the Pegasus square. And isn't it so that they say that Jesus is going to return on a white horse, which is synonymous with Pegasus, and that Jesus' symbol in the zodiac sign is the sun in Pisces. And so right here on this page, we have Pisces with a square in the middle. It says everybody who is not inclined to think it is obvious or in the very nature of things to connect a field or game board with two fish, or with two lizards, or one turtle to two fish tails, is invited to compare the following items with the three previous illustrations. Then he shows on the next page a calabash from the Guinea coast of Africa. The figure is really a hemisphere which is hard to reproduce, whence the open spaces. And clearly you see here the turtles and the center of what looks like a cross, but it kind of has a square in the middle, which is synonymous with the Pegasus paradise. Okay. This also looks like the Sini cross or the Sini symbol in the book Sacred Symbols of the Dogon by Leon Scranton. Another calabash from the Guinea coast is shown at the bottom of the page. Okay, let's turn here. Finally, the last page of illustrations. This shows the zodiacal Pisces as drawn by the Toba Batak of Sumatra. Okay, has 9 circles in it, reminding of the Inyad. Okay, then at the bottom we have what it says here. It says this picture comes from the New World and is described as composite animal, head and body of a turtle, double tail of a fish, and it has what looks like a chessboard encircled. Okay, now continuing on. But as a matter of fact, El Iku, darkly hinted at by Bol, does come into play, namely in EE 6.62 quoted above. They raised high the head of Isagila, equaling Apsu. And concerning this Isagila, or Isagil, we hear in the ritual text of the New Year festival in Babylon that the Erdigalu priest shall go out to the exalted courtyard, turn to the north, and bless the temple Isagil 3 times with the blessing, Iku star, Isagil, image of heaven and earth. El Iku, the Pegasus square, in parentheses, equals Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Pegasi, Alpha Andromedae, parentheses, is indeed of the utmost importance. El Iku representing the fundamental field measure, and Ugnad, okay, about his arc. No, and Ugnad understood the constellation enclosed by Pisces for the paradise, the primordial field, so to speak. Ungnad, the primordial field, page 435. More important, Utnapishtim tells Gilgamesh about his ark, which was, like the Apsu, an exact cube. Okay, quotations. 1 Iku was its floor space. Okay. Remembering what we heard above, since the ark disappeared, there was a stone in its place, which was called foundation stone, i.e. Ibn Shetaya, That is very amazing. This word is called, this foundation stone is called Ibn Shetaya. When I know for a fact that the Binbin stone is at the top of the Tekanu obelisk and is called the Binbin, it is the primordial stone. It is the foundation stone. It is the cornerstone. It is the primordial beginning. Its point represents primordial beginnings of creation. Also, Shitao was known as the divine mystery of ancient Kemet, or the ancient Egyptians. And Shitao, or Shut, or Shut, was an ancient name for the primordial god or nectar in relation to the pole star. Okay, the ancient god Sut. That is also the substance of the holy scripture or the holy science book called Sut or Sat. So, the foundation stone, i.e., Ibn Shitaya, that covered the abyss. Okay, the abyss that covered the abyss. This cubic ark, okay, this is the Ark of the Covenant, the floor space of which was 1 iku, cannot be without interest for us, the less so when the gods raised high the head of Isagila, which equals El Iku, which is the equaling Apsu. To be sure, this does not teach us where Marduk was supposed to be when he received the title Nibiru. It might have been decisive for the planet to rise heliacally together with El Iku, the celestial model of Isagil, representing the foundation stone covering the Apsu, maybe. But when? The heliacal rising of El Iku, precisely Beta Pegasi. Okay, turn the page here. Coincide with the winter solstice of 4000 BC. Around 1000 BC, it took place on January 25th. El Iku, the Pegasus square, is called the habitation of the deity Ea. Now, it's not Ea wisdom, okay? It's not Ea wisdom. It's not wisdom personified as the serpent in the tree in the Garden of Eden. Okay. The leader of the stars of Anu. Okay. Ea is called the leader of the stars of Anu. In the series Mul Apin, parentheses, Plostar, Triangulum, called by Wiedner a Babylonian compendium of astronomy. According to van der Worden, in parentheses, the 36 stars, page 17, this series is a compilation made about 700 BC or somewhat earlier, in which material from different periods between 1400 and 700 was used. Thus, El Iku, as leader of the stars standing in the way of Anu, would rise in the end of January, quite a time away from the vernal equinox when the New Year's festival was held. So, and it's now January 12th, okay? So we are literally heading right now towards the end of January. Strange that I'm reading this. That's what you call synchronicity. This is all very nice so far, and certainly not without highest interest. But do we know, meanwhile, what Nibiru, ferryman, ford, was supposed to be? Even without worrying about Jupiter and his whereabouts. We know it not, and we feel tempted to say, quod, he's speaking in Latin here, namely, that the many verbose translations, eloquent articles, and books have not cleared up the decisive points of the cosmological system ruling the Numailish, the Gilgamesh epic, the Era epic, and the other alleged poems. Nibiru is only one case among many, but it is a rather significant model case for proving that no concrete problem is going to be solved as long as the experts of astronomy are too supercilious to touch mythical ideas, which are firmly believed to be plain nonsense. Of course, as long as historians of religion swear to it that stars and planets were smuggled into originally healthy fertility cults and naive fairy tales only very late, whence These unhealthy subjects should be neglected by principle, and as long as the philologists imagine that familiarity with grammar replaces that scientific knowledge which they lack and dislike. But even when the different specialists would condescend, condescend to renounce their common haughtiness, we do not think that there is much chance to arrive at a satisfying solution of concrete details and the adequate understanding of the system as a whole, without taking into account comparable systems of other parts of the earth. Mesopotamia is by no means the only province of high culture where the astronomers worked with a tripartition of the sphere. The tripartition of the sphere is the triangle of Anu, of the Bin. Even apart from the notion allegedly most familiar to us, in reality most unknown, that of the ways of Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades as given by Homer. Is that Anu, Enlil, and Ea? The Indians have a very similar scheme of dividing the sky into ways. They even call them ways. And so have the Polynesians, who tell us many details about stars belonging to the three zones, and by which planet they were begotten. But nobody has thought it worth listening to the greatest navigators our globe has ever seen, nor has any ethnologist of our progressive times thought it worth mentioning that the Polynesian megalithic sanctuaries, the Marais, gained their imposing state of holiness when the Unu boards were present. These carved Unu boards representing the pillars of Rumia being comparable to the way of Anu. This sounds just like the tree of life, the pillars of the tree, the three nadis of Kundalini, Ida Pingala Shumshumna, heading towards the way of Anu, which is the center, which is the pole, celestial pole of the inner esoteric mystic, according to Henry Corbin. Okay, the way of Anu, where Antares served as pillar of entrance. Among the other pillars, Aldebaran, Spica, Arcturus, Phaethon in Columbia, or in Columba. But now Phaethon in Columba to me represents the Statue of Liberty with the torch. Let me continue. But now, is Nibiru as important as all that? We think so. Or, to say it the other way around, once this astronomical term, i.e. Nibiru, and two or three more are reliably settled, one can begin in earnest to get wise to and to translate Mesopotamian poetry. He continues on with part 2 of the Appendix 39. I'll continue this here in a little bit. Ashe.